Indian Point has always been a focal point on the shores of Red Indian Lake. All visitors over the past 75 years have used the location based on personal interest, without anyone or any group expressing a collective interest in its protection from those years of abuse. The archaeological dig at Indian Point in 1970 was initiated by the museum in Ottawa for the new Museum of Man exhibit. With the local support of communities, the then Red Indian Lake Economic Development Association, and the help of the archaeology team, built 2 mammoths and a smokehouse, along with an interpretation building with displays. Once completed, the site was without a plan for management or protection and became a casual visitor place for picnics, camping, and travel trailer visitation each summer. For 30 years, this continued without any local community interest shown for the improvement of the site or as an asset of the Red Indian Lake Heritage Society that was started in 1992. After the 100-year anniversary celebration in 2000, community interest was expressed for a more active society, and the focus became the Beothuk site at Indian Point because of its National Historic Site recognition by the Parks Canada Historic Sites and Monuments Board. From 2003 to 2005, we began working with the Exploits Valley Heritage Council in the development of a passport program to move visitors around the area to visit all the historic sites in the region. During a meeting of the Exploits Valley Heritage Council, an arm of the Exploits Valley Development Corporation, I now realized it was evident that all different community representatives considered the Beothuk a part of their heritage. A questionnaire was circulated to all members of the council for discussion at the next meeting. When that meeting was held, the executive director of the Exploits Valley Development Corporation attended and contradicted the project and the objectives of the Indian Point Expansion Takamahaka project. The concept referred to as the Takamahaka project was designed, but was met with the greatest opposition by the Exploits Valley Development Corporation as it contradicted their strategic plan for the region. The annual report of 2003, along with an analysis of the community's historic resources, yesterday, today, tomorrow, was published as guidelines for the future and presented to the Millertown Council for discussion and community direction, as the Red Indian Lake Heritage Society was formed as a committee of council and legal entity of council. The site was staffed with students during the summer months, and they completed an excellent job of clearing the brush. Information panels of Beothuk life on the shores of Red Indian Lake history were designed and installed in the interpretation building, which included the expeditions that visited what the Beothuk called the Great Lake. During the summer of 2006, an information brochure was created which included the expeditions to the Great Lake and on Beothuk life on the shores of the Great Lake, with illustrations that were done for John Kitchen's book, The Beothuk Way. The profile of the Indian Point location was raised with about 500 to 600 additional visitors a year, and a market study questionnaire was developed and visitor interest was documented. Based on the results of the market study, less than 50% of the first-time visitors to the site spent much time in the Interpretation Center. The questionnaire revealed that the greatest interest of visitors was to experience the Beothuk lifestyle in an encampment, which suggested the best investment would be to improve the Mamatiques and include all the tools, weapons, and cooking methods and utensils used by the Beothuk in daily life. During 2006, discussions were initiated with Parks Canada Historic Sites and Monuments Board to have a plaque erected at Indian Point in 2007, as it was recognized as a National Historic Site. Then, in March 2007, the community of Millertown considered the work at Indian Point being done by the Red Indian Lake Heritage Society required a change of leadership. Since then, the site at Indian Point has never been staffed, and since then it has been overgrown with brush, as maintaining the facility was not of interest to the new leadership of the Red Indian Lake Heritage Society. An example of the Interpretation Center maintenance is shown in this series of images, when the skylights were replaced with windows and a support beam was removed to install one window and a piece of 2x4 stuck up to hold it in place. The building was never maintained or properly repaired and thus was demolished. The original series of exterior display panels that were designed were of such that the Department of Tourism interceded and assured that the panels were redesigned and the information was accurate. Since their installation, the panels are now left out all winter, and last winter the heavy drifting snow bent the steel frame during the spring thaw. If left out each year, they will suffer damage annually and will have to be removed, as with the Interpretation Center. The smokehouse has suffered the greatest damage, and with windfalls last year, there has been no evidence of any interest by anyone in the negative reflection it has on the community of Millertown's reputation to preserve and protect its historic past. As with all community projects, the construction of a new building by one interest group on the site was not a community effort and was built also without proper approvals by government departments. This is also reflected in the community of Millertown, as over the past year they continue to destroy the integrity of the Lewis Miller sawmill site by construction of a breakwater on the site without any government departmental approval to do such work. The series of images in this presentation are only a documented glimpse into our historic past, with the intention to motivate a greater collective interest in the protection of our wilderness heritage.